Good morning. We're back out at the shop today, working on this side dump trailer here behind me. Got to put a trailing arm in it, which is a suspension component that holds the airbag and holds the axle to the trailer. So the old one's just got a bunch of wear on it in the bushing, and the bushing is wore through to the steel. So we got to replace the whole trailing arm. So anyway, it's a kind of a bolt-in piece, but it welds on to the axle and as well as with U-bolts, and so it's a little bit involved doing that. So I'll bring you into the shop, kind of show you that process, and it's just exciting stuff. So I'll bring you along with me. So I'll get this truck fired up to build some air so we can get into the shop with it. And I checked the oil and everything already, so I'm just gonna hit the key. Oh, she's a little cold this morning. Not too bad out here, the sun's shining. We'll let this thing build up some air, and I'll show you what we're replacing here on this trailer. So, right, set the important stuff down. Right down under here is a trailing arm. Bolts to the trailer here, goes down and bolts to the axle there, has the airbag and the shock sitting on top of it. So it's welded across the axle right there. So we'll have to take everything off of it, cut the welds, pull this arm off, and you can see right here that it has actually cracked, and that's why we're replacing it, because it's just cracked through. It's too thin to put a bushing in, so we let it go too long and the bushing got bad and then wore into the steel. So anyway, we'll just put a new one on it and make that happen. So while that's airing up, I'm gonna go get the stuff out of the shop, the Jeep and the lawnmowers, back that trailer in, and we'll get going on it. I backed it in here at an angle. I ran this up where it's just close. I could see it in the mirror of the truck, so I didn't hit the door there, but ran the tub up in here. That's why I like having that high door. I got room. If I'm centered in here with this trailer, I can run this tub all the way over to the side and doesn't hit that door up there. So nice to have a 14'6" door that's tall and do that. But I ran it kind of over to the right in the shop here, so I got room. So what I got to do is pull these two tires off, and I got the tub up so I can get down in here. And once that airbag's out of the way and the shock's off of there, I can get my big air gun on those U-bolts, because I got to save the U-bolts. So we did that side right when I first started here about 1.5 years ago. This trailer was actually broken when I first started, and that side was all tore apart. It actually broke and pulled out of the bushing, so the axle slid back, and yeah, it wasn't good. Anyway, so you got even got a brand new airbag there. But I'm going to pull this side apart, do the same thing. So I'm going to pull the tires off just to make it easier to get to. Don't need to pull the drum, but as you can see, it's pretty tight down there. So once the tires are out of the way, I can get down in there. I got to get in there and weld and everything, so I kind of want all that to be easy to get to, and then show you the new. I'm in here pretty tight. That's our new piece right there. I got to do a couple measurements real quick, make sure it's the right one. There are two different styles, so hopefully they gave us the right one. And then once that's measured and I know it's the right one, we'll get to going after it. And yes, I do have a safety bar up to the tub so it doesn't fall on my wee little head and squash it. That wouldn't be funny, but anyway, I've got a safety bar on it. It's held up by the hydraulics of the trailer, but you never want to trust those 100% when you're under it with your head or your body, because that thing comes down, it would just squash you. That would be the end of you. So anyway, I got a safety bar there. Yes, it is a hitch. It's a hitch stabilizer off of a pickup, but they're super thick and stiff. It's stuck up in a hole there. It can't get away. That trailer comes down, it'll just bind it, which is what I want, and it'll sit right on that. So anyway, I do have safety there. Jack stand under that. It's only holding the weight of the axle, not the whole trailer. Trailer's still sitting on the other 5 sets of tires. So everything's safe. I can get underneath there without worrying about getting squished. This big stuff, you want to definitely have enough there to keep you from getting squished. It could kill you quick and in a hurry. So I've got some stuff already started here. Got the shock unbolted. The airbag is undone there. I'm going to go ahead and change this airbag while I'm here. I've got a brand new one, and this one is starting to peel, and it's pretty well done. I mean, you can see the cords in it, so they just get old. They have a shelf life. They get all that dirt and debris and that highway film on them, and just after a while they get rotten, just like tires. Rubber has a shelf life, but you can see it is pretty well ready to change. I got to take it off anyway to get this out of here, so I'll just put the brand new one on it. Right now I'm working on these bolts. Got one out with the air gun. The other one's clear back in here under the, it's right above the axle, and you can't get a ratchet on it or an air gun, so I'm doing it with an end wrench. It's just about out. Just about out. Alright, so those 2 bolts, airbag is loose and can come out. So get it out of there. Then I'm going to cut these little night ties. This is an anti-lock brake sensor. We'll get that out of the way. Then I can pull the U-bolts off, and I imagine they're going to be fun. They've been on here since 2007. So once that stuff's all out of the way, I can take my cutter, my grinder, and I can cut these welds right along here. They're just welded on this tab right here. I'll get all this stuff out of the way. I'll cut this weld, the one on the front. We'll take the bolt out of the front of the suspension arm, and it should, in theory, come out. So I got to pull that bolt, and I got to cut the weld. There's a weld on that nut. I got to cut that, and then the shock's undone at the top. I'm just going to leave it hooked on, and I'll get that bottom bolt when I get this piece out, because I could do it with a ratchet probably, but I can do it with my air gun when it's out of the way. That slack adjuster's right in the way there. So anyway, I'll leave the bottom one bolted on. I'll just do it when it's out of the truck. But yeah, we'll get going on that, get that airbag pulled out, and start doing some U-bolts. Alright, so I got to take this weld, I got to cut, there's a little weld on the top of this nut. I got to cut that. I'll probably just leave the washer. The washer's got a tack weld too, but there's no sense in cutting it. It's got to go back right back on. So I'll cut that, pull the nut. We should be able to drive this out of there. And it's got a nut welded on the other side, but it's basically turns it into a bolt. So I'm not sure why they didn't just use a bolt, but that's what's in there. So anyway, it's threaded on both sides for some reason, like a piece of all thread, I think. So, but I'll cut that. We'll pull this nut off. Should be able to pound that back out of there, and that bolt will come out. That's what holds it into the trailer. And then these actually adjust the back and forth on this to get alignment. So we'll see where it's at when I put it back together. I'll measure it all, make sure the axle's running straight in the trailer. And if it's not, I'll have to cut these welds, and we can go back and forth with that and get an alignment on it to get the axle straight. So it aligns on both sides, so you could do one side or the other. But hopefully, when we put it back together, it's just straight. Show you my setup here for getting these U-bolts out. I've got my 1-inch gun on an extension down to that 33mm socket, which fits those perfectly. Same as the lug bolts on the tires on the wheels. So I can get to this one that way. I should be able to get to the one inside one, but the back one I'm going to see if I can do with my 1/2-inch gun. I have a 3/4 gun, but it's never worked good, so I hardly ever use it. My 1/2-inch hits harder. So this 1-inch gun is it's the man though. It's the one. So we'll see if these come off, and then we'll go around and do the one on the inside, get it off of there, and then this thing's as soon as I cut those welds, they'll be ready to come out. Well, I had to break out the big gun. This bar, 1-inch drive. It's about 3 feet long, and it really makes it nice when you got a stubborn nut. You can really get some leverage on this thing. I had to break that out to get these U-bolts loose. And once you got them a little bit, you can turn them a couple times. Then you can get the air gun on them and rattle them off. But yeah, I had to break out the big gun. Alright, all the U-bolts are out. Just gotta cut those welds, and then we'll get this thing out of here. I'm gonna cut this off and get this weld cut here. Cut the back one already. Just gotta cut this one. Got safety glasses on. Can't see a thing, so should be good. loose. So I'll show you here, this is the old bushing. You can see this big knob missing out of the side here. There's cracks all up and through here. What it did is it ended up cracking this. If I can turn this over. It ended up breaking this right along here. So I re-welded that. I mean, that looks like crap, but I did it underneath the trailer kind of as a quick fix. The weld looks like crap, but it held. It's got several welds around it, but it's thin enough there from whatever was making that bushing move that this just melted through and the bushing was popping through the weld. So anyway, that's why we bought the new arm. This will never quit cracking now that it's cracked. It'll always keep cracking, so you just got to replace it. But we'll throw the new one in there and it'll be all better. Got everything cleaned up. Welds are ground up good, so I can re-weld to that axle. This doesn't have any paint on the welding surfaces here, so it's ready to weld. I just got to put it up in there and get everything back in order where it's supposed to go. So we'll try that. It's gonna be fun. Thing's heavy. It's like 85 pounds or something. So get you set up there where you can watch me fail at this. Basically, I got to roll it up onto my chest somehow here. Work it up in there. And it ain't light. Try not to drop it on my face. That. Too ambitious there. Then, before that goes all the way up, get it straight. Okay. Got new discs to put in. And they go on either side of this deal. There's one. Always fun doing this stuff by yourself. The other one picked up here. Somewhere in there. It's like that axle's slid back a little. That'll stay. I need to grab my bar. And try to get this spacer put in. Let's see, I might be able to get that one. Fun getting that lined up. through. That'll keep that from falling out on my head. All right. Closer. Throw a jack. Kind of see what I'm doing here. Trying to get that hole lined up. I'm going to do it with the jack to hold it in there. Come here, little fella. All right. Let's collapse a little more. Somebody's shooting outside again. Probably hunting ducks, I imagine. We've got kind of marshland behind our place, about 1/4 of a mile. So they like to hunt ducks out there. My dogs don't like it though. But we live in the country, so I'm okay with them doing it. Okay. Take that out now. So we're almost centered. Show you there. Pretty close. I gotta move forward just a little. Just gonna try to do that. Just a little more. Oh, I like that. Now we'll see if our pipe will go in. I'm going to taper the end of this a little. There's a yeah, I'll just taper it. Yeesh. So they gave us some Rebush lubricant. Basically Seal Glide. So there's a little bushing in here that's plastic. It's got to expand. This goes in and expands it. That's why I tapered that. Not going to hurt a thing. We'll put a little bit of some giddy on here to help it around. That'll be more than enough right there. That'll slide in there good. Just got to get it to open that plastic bushing up a little. Looks like I need to come down. Smudge. There she's wanting to go. Forward a little bit again. Okay, that should be it. I like it. Now, your handy dandy bolt back in. Haha! Viola! Alright. Now, that's ready to tighten. So those little black plastic deals I stuck in there, that's why I put those in, because the old ones are done. This one's got a big crack in it. It's in better shape, but yeah, that one's not happy. Hate putting stuff together, back together without the right stuff. Alright, got the other one bolted in, welded in. Got a little weld there on that nut. Got that in. Some weld underneath. U-bolts are in. I've gone over them about 5 different times, cross pattern, back and forth. I got a weld there on that. But I've gone over them about 5 times back and forth, and with that big 3-foot long bar, and snugged them down, so she should be pretty tight. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the airbag back in it. Bolt that in. It goes right there. Bolt that in, and then I got to bolt that shock back in. Alright, so we're bolted back in, airbag's back in it. I don't have air in it yet. I'll plumb back up. Shock's back on, the arm's in there where it's supposed to be. I had a weld here. This thing was cracked. These trailers do a ton of twisting when they dump, and these little bars tend to have cracks in them. So got it welded back up. All the U-bolts are back on. We'll put the tires back on it and air it up. That's it for this one. I got it all put back together there. Measured it out. Everything's good measurement wise, so it's not off tracking weird or something. And should be good for a long time. That should last for a long time that way. That trailer's got a ton of miles on it. A lot of use, and So yeah, should be good to go for a long time. So anyway, that'll be that for this one, and I appreciate you watching. Please remember to like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll keep bringing some good content as we go along here. So have a good one. We'll see you on the next one.